So at this time we have our part imported, the fourth axis rotary table imported, and we've created our material around the part. We've created the coordinate systems that we're going to use. Something that I did notice, to be consistent, I'm going to name these the same way. I created the left side face, then back face, right face, and front face. To be consistent, I'm going to change the left side face to left face. So to change the name of an existing coordinate system, right click on it, from the flyout menu select rename, and I'll just change this to left face. So at this time I can now bring up my toolpath manager. I currently don't have that visible. I'll go to view, and then from the manager section I'll select toolpaths. My toolpath manager is currently blank, nothing in it. So what I'll do is I'll go to machine, mill, and I don't have all of the machine definitions that I do at work. So what I'll do is I'll just start with the default. You can always go back in and change it after the fact. So we're starting with the default machine definition. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the setup. This is slightly different than the previous versions of the software. So right away I'm going to expand the properties. I'll click on properties and I'll click on files, and it brings up the default machine definition, and the first thing I'll do is I'll change the name. I'll call this a Haas 4-axis mill, 4x mill. I'm going to leave these settings. I'll go to configure machine, and I'm going to set the maximum spindle RPM. So I'll expand the mill spindle group until I see tool spindle, double click on it, and set the maximum RPM to 10,000. I'll select OK. I'll select OK again. Other things that I'll need to change on this page. If I scroll down, program number, let's call this, give it a 4 to 5 digit number of your choice. I'm just going to call it 7,000. And then for the sequence number, I'll start at 1 and I'll have the lines of code numbered in increments of 1. That completes this page. I'll go to the next page, master model. And the model we have defined with a solid model. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pick select the solid model, but at this time the solid model that represents my material is in the way. So what I'll do is I'll go to my level manager. While I'm still in the machine group setup, I can go to the level manager. I'll make the solid model level invisible. And actually I need to do it the other way around. I'll make the solid model level visible, or I will keep it visible. I'll make it active, and then I'll make the material level invisible. Now I can select the master model. I'll go back to the machine group setup. I'm going to use this icon. This will allow me to pick select the solid model that's in my session of Mastercam. So I select this icon. I'll select the solid model that represents my part. I'll select end selection. And from here I can identify the material. So I'll select material, select material from library. And currently the only item that I can select is Aluminum Inch 2024. So I'll go to the source folder, I'll select library, and from here we'll get more options. I'm going to use Aluminum Inch 6061. Select it and then select the green check. And from here, this should be good. I'll go to the next page. And this is where we define our stock. I have a solid model that represents my material, so I'll go back to my level manager. I'll make the material level visible. Then I'll go back to the machine group setup. And similar to how we selected the master model, I can pick select by using this icon. I'll select add from selection. I can now select the solid model that represents my material. I'll select OK. And that exited the settings. I'm going to go back into the settings. I'll double click on files again. Go down to stock setup. So this is where we left off. This is good. I'm clicking on work holding. We're not using any work holding, or in this case, we could define the rotary as our work holding or as our fixture, but I'm going to take care of that in the verify settings. From here, I'll go to tools. For the feed calculation, I'm going to select from material. And then I'm also going to use assign tool numbers sequentially. I'll check warn of duplicate tool numbers, and I'll check use tools step pec and coolant. And then from here, I'll select simulation. And we're not using a generic 5-axis VMC. So what I'll do is I'll expand this menu and let's see if we can find a generic 4-axis VMC. Now, this one does not represent our current setup with the HRT 160. So for what we're doing here is I'm just going to keep using the generic 3-axis VMC. And at this time I'll select OK. I'm also going to rename my toolpath group. I'll right click on the toolpath group -1. From the flyout menu I'll go to groups and then I'll select rename. And let's call this the first operation. At this time we're ready to start adding toolpaths to our session of Mastercam.